Hi, everyone. My name is Sydney McCleary. I am the coordinator for the Homeless Contribution Tax Credit Program with the Division of Housing at the state of Colorado. Today, we're going to be going through how to enter a donor-submitted contribution for those donors who have contributed to our approved Homeless Contribution Tax Credit Program organizations. So this video should only be used if you have already sent your contribution to the nonprofit organization and you've received this link to this page, and also the other taxpayer materials that organizations should distribute for any of their donors that they are entrusting with entering their own contributions for this tax credit program. So to begin, this is just the front page that you will see as soon as you click the DOLA Grants 22 HCTC contributions link that your nonprofit staff have sent over to you. I do recommend reviewing the taxpayer handbook and the taxpayer Salesforce guide before we're going through this, or before you submit your contribution, just to have a more comprehensive understanding of the HCTC program and also how contributions are reviewed, submitted, all of that good stuff before you receive your tax credit. This video will not be a full look at everything regarding HCTC. This will be only to go over how to submit your own contribution within the donor Salesforce platform. So, like I said, as soon as you click the link for Salesforce, you will see this page. It'll come up with the Salesforce Access Agreement, and this review before you enter your contribution, but it'll go over what Salesforce is, why we at the state are using it for the HCTC program, and your nonprofits are using it as well. Who may share your information? It's just us at the Department of Local Affairs, the Division of Housing, the nonprofit, and then the Department of Revenue. They'll be the final approval for your tax credit. How will your information be used? And then what information will be asked of you within this process? Once you've gone over this and feel comfortable with everything, click this little checkbox to acknowledge that you understand that all of the personal information entered into Salesforce is protected and required by Colorado Revised Statute CRS 3922-548, which is the statute that created this tax credit program, for participation in the Homeless Contribution Income Tax Credit Program. Once you agree and acknowledge all of that, click Continue to begin the form. Next thing that will pop up is another opportunity for you to review the formatting and style guide training video, as well as the style guide itself. So this video goes over this style guide document in great detail, but you are able to click on the document and review it as you're filling out your information. This is just a guide that we've created so that all of the information and data that is entered into Salesforce is 100% accurate. Everything matches very nicely, and it's all of the accurate tax information that you'll need when you go to file your taxes, so that your certificate matches with what the Department of Revenue will be looking for. Again, I'm not going to go over this in a super amount of detail because there's a whole other video on that. But you can review this as you're going through, in case you have any questions about how to enter your own personal information to make sure it's best for this program. So once you have the opportunity to do that, go ahead and click Next, and now we'll begin the form. So first up is you're going to select the nonprofit that you have already donated to. So all of our HCTC approved organizations will be automatically listed in here. So I created something called the Live Test organization, but you'll see if I type in live or live, other organizations with that in their name will also come up. I am not contributing to Live the Victory today, but I am contributing to Live Test Organization. So in this drop down that comes up, I'll click on that. And you'll know that you've selected the nonprofit if this little icon with the office buildings next to it appears in this text box. So once you've selected the correct organization that you've donated to, click Next. And then you'll be able to select the project that you've contributed to. So my test organization only has one test project activity. You might be donating to an organization that has more than one approved project. The nonprofit that you are working with should hopefully send you the information about which project your donation will be going to. However, if you're unsure, please reach out to the nonprofit point of contact that you have before continuing this form. We just want to make sure that all the information is accurate in here. So since I only have one test project, I know that that's what I've contributed to. So I can click on this little bubble next to the project number and click Next. Now you'll select the type of donor that you are. So if you are an individual household and you've just written a check on your own personal checks and contributed to the organization, more than likely individual household will be the most selected. However, if you contributed on behalf of your business or a foreign business even, select that when it is applicable. So I will be submitting a test individual contribution and click Next. And then I'll start entering my own information. So first I'll select whether I will be using my individual tax identification number or my social security number. The full social security number is required in order to qualify for a tax credit with this program. The full social security number needs to be on the tax credit certificate per our statute. And I definitely recommend, if you have any questions on this, again, refer to that taxpayer handbook or start a conversation with your nonprofit point of contact, as they have lots of information on this as well from us. So next, I'll go ahead and I'll enter my full social security number. This is going to be a test social security number, not mine or anyone else's. This will be just a made up test number. And I will enter all 9 numbers for that. The first name, we'll be using James Halpert. If you watch The Office, you know James Halpert often goes by Jim Halpert. But since we want the full name as it appears on a tax return, I'm not going to be using any nickname or name shortening, anything like that. Even though my full social security number is right here, I want the Department of Revenue to be able to match the name to my full tax return name as easily as possible. So keep that in mind, and that is referenced in the formatting and style guide as well. If you have any prefix you want to add, you can add it there. And then the full name as it appears on my tax return, you'll basically be re-entering the names that you've entered here just in one line. If you want to add a middle initial here, you absolutely can. However, it's not required. So if you want to just leave it as first and last full name, perfect for us. After everything has been entered, I'll go ahead and do Mr. here. You can click Next to move on to the next page. And this is where you'll enter your full street address. So we'll say 987 Dunder Mifflin Ave. For street names, we do prefer, no period in the shortened version. So Ave or ST for street, anything like that. Again, please reference the formatting and style guide. The city will say that Dunder Mifflin is in Denver for now. Country will always be automatically set to United States. So unless it's a foreign business entity, you likely will not have to touch this. And then the state, go ahead and select that from the drop down and then enter your postal code. we'll do 80228. And then you'll see at the bottom here that email and phone number are both optional. They don't have these little required red asterisks next to them. We understand that not everyone wants to use email, has an email, so you do not need to enter an email at this time. However, if you would like to receive your tax credit certificate via encrypted email, and plenty of information on that in the Taxpayers Salesforce Guide, enter your email at this time. You can always, if you change your mind later on and you want to add an email to your the profile that you're basically creating for yourself in Salesforce, you can always contact your nonprofit and then we can add it in on the back end. But I will say, this is the easiest way to make sure that you are getting those emails if that is your preferred method to receive the tax credit. Again, it is encrypted and we've gone through lots of privacy measures to make sure that that is as safe as possible for delivering to you that way. I am just going to use my state email for this, just to make sure I get that email. And then phone number is also optional. We don't need your phone number for anything specific for this program like we do with the email, but if you would like to add it, you absolutely can. Click next to continue. And then this is where you'll finally enter all of the details about your donation. So select whether you've made a cash or in-kind donation. We'll say that Jim Halpert submitted a cash donation of $2,000. You'll just enter that in under your contribution amount. Please keep in mind that every organization does have a different minimum donation requirement for cash amounts. The in-kind requirement, any in-kind donation must be $5,000 or more. So technically 5,001. So just keep that in mind before you submit. And then the contribution date, you can click this calendar button here, and it comes up really easy with a nice calendar for you to navigate through to select when you submitted or when you did donate to that organization. Let's say this donation was on May 18th. You do not want to enter the date that you're submitting this form unless it's on the same day that you submitted the contribution to the organization. You want to use the date that you donated to your organization. So just keep that in mind here as well. The file attachment section of this page is only required for donations over $5,000. So that is cash or in kind. So all in-kind contributions will need documentation, but cash of $5,000 or more will also need documentation. This can be a copy of the check, it can be the receipt that the organization sends to you, but for any in-kind contributions, the documentation must include a third-party valuation of the item on the date of the donation. So same date that you'll be entering here. You can upload those files by clicking on this button, and then you just go through your files there and select it. And then your submitted by name will be your name. This is basically your signature signing off that, yes, I am submitting this contribution that I have already donated to this organization. Everything I'm entering is 100% correct. I'm not making up a contribution, anything like that. So think of this as your signature on this. After you've completed all of your contribution information, click next, and you'll be taken to a page where you're able to review all of the information that you just entered. So make sure that your address looks correct, your email or phone number, taxpayer ID, all that good stuff. If something does not look correct and you're like, oh, I had a mistype, happens to the best of us. You can click this previous button at any time from any page to go back and fix anything within this form. So we'll say, okay, I've done my review. Everything looks good. I'm going to go ahead and click next, and success. I have submitted all of my information successfully to the organization that I've donated to, and now my donor submitted contribution just needs to be reviewed and approved by the organization. Each organization will have a different timeline for when they'll get to reviewing your donor submitted contributions. But just keep in mind that you will get an email when they approve or decline the contribution, and if you've submitted an email in this form. And then you'll get an additional email, again, if you have email on file, with your tax credit certificate when that comes time to be sent out to you. If you have any questions about HCTC or donor submitted contributions or any information about this program, please contact your nonprofit's main point of contact, and they'll definitely discuss everything with you. And if they have any questions, or if you have any questions that they want clear answers on or anything, they'll be able to reach out to us and we'll get back to them as soon as possible. So thank you, everyone.